Everybody has to not talk to me for a little bit. This is what makes me so nervous.
I'll be quiet.
Okay, now I am leaving open media. Zoom. Riley's here. Okay, so now in just a second, let me get you set up because I don't want this to start and you not be set up.
I don't know if Steve Ross is attending tonight or not. He was on, but I don't know if it was effective immediately or what. Did Steve tell you to give us 3 hours?
Okay, so
Hey. Can you see me okay? Hey, here you go. Can you see me okay, Asada? Sorry. Here, you can go outside. Go. Go.
it's not working. Okay, so
Only one computer may. do
no,
the
no,
deed.
no, it's, I just haven't done something right yet. So I need to take a breath. This is why you have to do it early. Okay, so where's my urban renewal? Oh, shit, I put it in urban renewal.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Oh yeah, you be quiet. I
Save. Shit, please, 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 God. Yep, that's what I did. Okay. Delete. You might,
Try rejoining.
can you log,
Hello, is that in person?
hi,
You have a forum tonight?
you better.
Let's hope.
It's not working. God.
Need 4, right?
About 3.5 for the frame. So we found out that Mr. Popoff has a rotary phone as well.
No. You can't make that. A rotary phone. So how is that gonna, he can still call in?
He thinks he has a push button phone somewhere.
Don't scare me.
Great grandma has rotary.
Maybe it didn't say go
You
live.
know, every.
You are live. Put into Riley. They can see you now.
They can see me, but they,
Lived with her grandparents during the war
I mean on YouTube,
on a farm. She says she remembers.
but it looks like I am,
When
so
they got into a farm, that was a big thing.
how's it running through our,
They had to go down the road with the neighbors and use the phone.
Oh, wow.
it's not running in our
And then
session.
it's a party line, I'm sure.
And she said,
Okay.
I don't know, nothing to do with old homes. Farms, it's-
Take a breath.
New construction. I thought it was a huge deal when it's right here, got a call waiting. It's right here.
Bruce, can you hear me okay?
Wi-Fi.
Loud and clear.
Your
Cool.
buzz,
Okay.
That's what all the buzzing was on Monday night?
I think so. But we'll see. We think that if I keep me muted, we'll be all right. So,
Do you want me off the Wi-Fi?
Riley, are you muted?
No, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay. I know Bruce can hear me, so
Yes.
So you need to, the bar at the bottom, make sure you're unmuted and make sure your volume's up because I can't hear you.
okay. Bruce, you can still hear me, right?
Yes. I can't see you. I did something.
Okay.
This is only
There
the
you
new
go.
ones that just came in, the late level. I think I can leave now though.
Hey, Brent,
Paul, do you have the link with you?
can you hear me okay, Brent?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Um,
cool, just checking.
That's not the link. I'm sorry, what link do you mean?
The one you sent out to tell them how to log in.
I can't, I don't have it on this computer.
I think I can find it.
I'm sorry, I said.
It's all right. I have it. It's just,
I copied and pasted it. I mean, I didn't want to try to retype it.
Are you looking for the email with the Zoom invite? Because if so, I can forward it to you real quick.
I can't hear anyone.
We can hear you.
We
Can
can
you hear us?
She can't hear us. I just texted. Paula is
Can't
with,
hear you.
I know. Paula is with Izetta and Steve in,
Okay, so
the-
Riley says that Bruce can hear her and
Yeah.
she can hear him.
so we
but
can all
they
hear each
cannot
other.
hear you.
Can't hear us, so they're just trying to figure it out right now.
Is the volume up?
I'm not about to say that.
ID
Yeah, I have it.
974.
Do you want me to forward it to you?
No, I want you to just for just a second. I want to ask you for the password. That's not type 9. So
The copies I need.
I messed with it today. You know what? It's really real.
nine, 7, 4, 4, 4, 0, 1, 8, 3, 9, 5. Do it. No, it didn't.
You just need to move your mouse. I can hear it.
Seven, 4. 4, 4, 0, 1. 8, 3.
All right.
What's the password?
Okay, it's 663829.
Get it wrong.
Password.
What's for dinner, Don?
Homemade pizza.
Ooh.
Mike and Christy, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. We're just trying to figure out some other audio stuff on our end, so just hang in there. Thank
Okay,
you.
will do.
Oh, hang on.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This is why you should be up here 30 minutes earlier. Okay, Zoom meeting. Nine, 5, 9, 0, 0. Wait, you missed 5, 9.
Yeah.
Okay, want to read it to me?
Yep. It's 959 0 0 0 3 3 2 1 3.
Now, here we go.
Okay, ready?
Uh-huh.
6 6 3 8 2 9. Good job.
So we already seen everybody. So this is my Zoom in. What's the virtual background?
It will be over pretty quickly.
Where is everybody? It all worked.
Did you try share screen with that?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so this has got my speakers, this has got my everything. Okay, you can hear us.
Well, the login info that went out to the planning commission, was that the same that you just entered in, because was it that the login info was not?
No.
Council or something?
I didn't bring a copy of that with me. I didn't know you.
No, you didn't, you're fine.
I'm
We're
the
all
next one.
the same, right? Yeah.
Why isn't it, why aren't I?
You see your face yet?
Video preview.
I wonder if this is a first for him too.
Probably is.
Join this video thing. Maybe we're not in.
At least for the purpose, for the public meeting purpose.
In the corner. There we go.
You don't have to sit there glasses on, right?
I don't think I need them because I don't have anything to read.
Now can you hear us? Oh, yeah.
Got two minutes.
Ouch.
That's. It's not playing.
We do not have a quorum.
Sounds like there's 2 microphones going in that room or something.
Yeah, there isn't. There's only one of us really on, one logged in really. Okay, hang on.
Now it's better. Oh,
But you don't. Now you're okay, right?
there we go.
There we go. Okay, I don't know that it says it's live on YouTube, but.
So I see if I can find it.
My phone.
That's what bothers me, is what if it doesn't go, it says it's ready.
Mine says live on YouTube in the corner of my screen as well, if that
Yeah,
helps.
but is it show, is it,
Want me to pull it up?
oh, it's on YouTube,
Okay.
but it doesn't look like it's on our meetings and agendas. Oh, there it is. We came up, just popped. Okay, thank you all very much. I'm sorry, we almost made it by, we did make it by 6.
So I don't think we have a quorum yet.
Not yet. Are you folks gonna go over meeting etiquette in the beginning?
Yes,
Okay,
but we don't have everybody here. And
right.
so what, basically mute yourselves and don't unmute yourself unless, until you're called upon. So whoever your chair is should call on you, so you can like raise your hand
Mhm.
and he can call on you. If that isn't working, then just unmute yourself and say, I'd like to
There they
ask a
are.
question, okay?
Okay,
But
and
keep everybody muted unless you're speaking, please.
so the Obergs down there, if you can mute yourselves until you're ready to speak. And then I know your name's not Renee.
No, it's not. I'm trying to find the mute on here and not being.
Should be bottom left.
I see it. I keep clicking on it and it doesn't do anything. So
There you go.
Well, I muted you, so now maybe that'll do it, Dale.
And then the Obergs as well. Bottom left, if you can mute yourself until you're ready to talk. And I'll be sure to remind anyone that's on mute to unmute themselves if they start talking.
This is Mark Popoff. I just logged in.
Hey, Mark.
Mark.
Good to have you here.
So we have.
I think Brent's got it, so I'm gonna fade out and I'm gonna let him take over. Do you have a quorum yet? Yes.
We have 4. I think Jeff was going to join too, Jeff Stiles. I could wait a couple minutes if we wanted to, in case he's having trouble getting on.
Yeah. Living changing.
We'll give him one more minute.
Start.
Doug and Christine do it, they said, she said, it's just not sounding.
Okay. So since we have a quorum, we'll get going. And hopefully Jeff will hop in a little bit.
So Josh just texted me and said he's not seeing the meeting online.
I'll have to refresh, because it was, we just checked it.
Okay.
Okay, so we are recording just again to go over a little etiquette. if you are not speaking, try to keep yourself muted until you are ready to speak. If you're having trouble getting anyone's attention, feel free to wave or get my attention somehow, and we'll try to get to you. So we're going to call the meeting to order. It is 6:04 p.m. And we're going to start off with roll call.
Cody Cornett.
Present.
Brent Bybee.
Present.
Mark Popoff.
Here.
Bruce LaViere.
Present.
And Jeff Styles is absent.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come in soon. But let's move on to approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any issues or would like to make a motion?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
I second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
And say aye. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, it wouldn't do me any good to raise a hand since I'm on a phone.
Sorry about that. I'll keep that in mind. Okay, so it's been moved and approved. Next is approval of the March 6th, 2020 minutes. Does anyone have any comments or concerns from from those minutes? Or would someone like to make a motion?
I motion to approve those minutes from the March 6th meeting.
Okay.
I'll second them.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Raise your hand if you can. Totally good.
Brent, who moved?
So Cody moved, Bruce seconded, and then all voted in favor.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are not having any public comment this hearing, correct?
We received testimony via writing, via email. So that's how we're receiving public comment, and we can further address that as we move through the hearing.
Okay, and I can address those emails for the individual individual hearings. Okay, so that moves us into our public hearing portion of the hearing. So now is the time specified for the Planning Commission to conduct the public hearing to consider the following matter. Adjustment 050-19, Michael and Christine Irish at 221 West 15th Street, 1 North 13 East, Section 4 DB, Tax Lot 9300. This is an amended request requesting a rear yard setback reduction of 5 feet, 50% reduction to the required setback. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 health crisis, the city's public hearing procedures for tonight's quasi-judicial hearing have been amended. Sorry, 1 second. Now is the time specified for the Planning Commission to conduct the continuation of a public hearing from March 5th in the matter of adjustment 050-19 as set forth on the agenda. The applicants are, sorry, I'm repeating myself, but are Michael and Christine Irish due to the, on March 8th, 2020, the governor declared a state of emergency for the entire state of Oregon due to COVID-19 pandemic. On March 20th, 2020, the city of the Dalles issued its own declaration of emergency due to COVID-19. On April 15th, 2020, the governor issued executive order number 20-16 titled Keep Government Working, ordering necessary measures to ensure safe public meetings and continued operations by local governments during coronavirus outbreak. Pursuant to Section 2A of the governor's order, public bodies must hold public hearings through an electronic means whenever possible. Also pursuant to Section 2A of the governor's order, the public body must make available a method by which the public can listen to or virtually attend the meeting hearing at the time it occurs. Regarding public testimony, Section 2C of the governor's order states, any requirements that testimony during a public hearing be taken in person do not apply if the public body provides an opportunity for submission of testimony by electronic or virtual means, or provides a means of submitting written testimony, including by email or other electronic methods that the public body may consider in a timely manner. The governor's order is to remain in effect so long as Oregon's state of emergency is in effect. On May 1st, 2020, the governor extended Oregon's state of emergency through July 6th, 2020. As of the date of this public hearing, Oregon's state of emergency remains in effect. Consistent with the governor's Keep Government Working order, the city has implemented the following procedures for tonight's public hearing. This meeting will be available for public viewing through a live stream that is posted to the city's website. The land use application and all related documents, as well as the applicable criteria, were posted to the city's website for public viewing. Consistent with the governor's order, written testimony and comments regarding this application were reviewed to be emailed to the planning department no later than May 1st, 2020, 3 p.m. Testimony received, if any, was timely posted to the city's website for public viewing. As required by the governor's order, all testimony received was transmitted to the planning commissioners so that the testimony could be considered by the planning commissioners in a timely manner. Okay. The remaining hearing procedures are procedures that generally apply in all public hearings. Participants in tonight's public hearing must be recognized by the chair in order to speak. When recognized by the chair, please state your name and mailing address for the record. This public hearing is being tape recorded as well as live streamed. Generally, the public hearing procedure is as follows. Prior to the public hearing, a determination will be made of the qualifications of the commission members. I will open the public hearing with a staff report. The purpose of the staff report at this point is to further identify the applicable criteria of the case being considered and to provide background information on the case. After the staff report, we will hear testimony from the applicants who are attending this meeting via Zoom. The applicants will have an opportunity to present testimony in favor of the land use application, address issues raised in the staff report, and respond to any testimony received opposing the land use application. To expedite the hearing, the commission members may ask questions of persons as they testify. When this process has been concluded, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. During the hearing, some important standards apply. First, those who testify must hold their testimony to decision criteria. Second, failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the commission members and the parties an opportunity to respond to that issue precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Third, the failure of an applicant to raise constitutional or other issues related to proposed conditions of approval with details specific enough to allow the city to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Fourth, prior to the conclusion of the public hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. If such a request is made, the commission must grant the request by either continuing the hearing to a time and date at least 7 days from the date of the initial hearing, or the record must be kept open for a period of at least 7 days. Do the commissioners, staff, or applicants have any questions? Going once, twice. Okay. Have any members of the commission had any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, or bias which would not allow them to render an impartial decision on this matter?
No.
I see Cody raised his hand.
Yeah.
No.
I've recently developed a working relationship with the neighbors, Jency and Michael. I think it's probably best if I recuse myself from this one, just since they're the neighboring property and this action to some degree directly affects them.
You know, the corner of this item.
Okay.
No, we don't. Wait, we have Mark. Oh, no, Styles, correct.
Is there a financial relationship?
Yeah, isn't that the only?
If he's not
No.
comfortable, I wouldn't recommend.
Okay.
But for the record, is there any financial relationship?
I'm representing them as clients in a possible real estate transaction. And at some point, I very well may represent them in listing their home.
All right, then I support. I think it's appropriate to recuse yourself. The issue I see is we don't have a quorum.
Mm-hmm.
So if did Jeff say he would be here? I mean, could we?
Do we have his number? We could call him.
It was indicated he would be here when he came to the trial run.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we just delay action on item number one?
Yes.
And then go through the other two items and come back to this.
That's what we'll do.
I agree.
We'll just delay action on item number one. We'll continue to the other two hearings and come back to this one and hopefully have Jeff.
Okay.
I understood he would be here.
Sorry about that. Michael, Jency, and I all kind of realized who each other were and was this afternoon because we're all wearing masks and not sitting in the city chambers. So
No, it's a small community, and
yeah,
I mean, it's better to get it out up front than have it come up later on. So
yeah.
Did someone give Jeff a call and see if he could make it?
Yes, that's what we'll do.
But in the meantime, we'll move on to another item. Mark, did you have anything to add? I think I saw you try to key in there.
No.
Okay. So we'll postpone that hearing. Do I need to do anything special at this time? Do I need to close that hearing since it hasn't been
No.
opened?
We don't want to close it. We'll just hold it open for the remaining of the meeting and then readdress it before.
Okay, so for the record, we're holding item A in the public hearing portion of the agenda to be addressed later on in the hearing. And so we're going to move on to item B. Diana, do I need to go through the whole COVID spiel again?
You do, and I
Okay.
apologize.
That's okay. I understand. Completely understand. Okay. So we'll start from the beginning. Now is the time for specified for the Planning Commission to conduct the public hearing to consider the following matter. Minor partition 371-20 for Daniel Sanchez at 2323 West 16th Street. The request is to partition one lot into two. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 health crisis, the city's public hearing procedures for tonight's quasi-judicial hearing have been amended. On March 8th, 2020, the governor declared a state of emergency for the entire state of Oregon due to the COVID-19 pandemic. On March 20th, 2020, the city of the Dalles issued its own declaration of emergency due to COVID-19. On April 15th, 2020, the governor issued executive order number 20-16 titled Keep Government Working, ordering necessary measures to ensure safe public meetings and continued operations by local governments during coronavirus outbreak. Pursuant to Section 2A of the governor's order, Public bodies must hold public hearings through an electronic means whenever possible. Also pursuant to Section 2A of the Governor's Order, the public body must make available a method by which the public can listen to or virtually attend the meeting hearing at the time it occurs. Regarding public testimony, Section 2C of the Governor's Order states, any requirements that testimony during a public hearing be taken in person do not apply. If the public body provides an opportunity for submission of testimony by electronic or virtual means, or provides a means of submitting written testimony, including by email or other electronic methods, that the public body may consider in a timely manner. The governor's order is to remain in effect so long as Oregon's state of emergency is in effect. On May 1st, 2020, the governor extended Oregon's state of emergency through July 6th, 2020. As of the date of this public hearing, Oregon's state of emergency remains in effect. Consistent with the governor's Keep Government Working Order, the city has implemented the following procedures for tonight's public hearing. This meeting is available for public viewing through a live stream that is posted to the city's website. The land use application and all related documents, as well as the applicable criteria, were posted to the city's website for public viewing. Consistent with the governor's order, written testimony and comments regarding this application were required to be emailed to the planning department no later than May 1st, 2020 at 3 p.m. Testimony received, if any, was timely posted to the city's website for public viewing. As required by the governor's order, all testimony received was transmitted to the planning commissioners so that the testimony could be considered by the planning commissioners in a timely manner. The remaining hearing procedures are procedures that generally apply in all public hearings. Participants in tonight's public hearing must be recognized by the chair in order to speak. When recognized by the chair, please state your name and mailing address for the record. This public hearing is being tape recorded as well as live streamed. Generally, the public hearing procedure is as follows. Prior to the public hearing, a determination will be made of the qualifications of the commission members. I will open the public hearing with a staff report. The purpose of the staff report at this point is to further identify the applicable criteria of the case being considered and to provide background information about the case. After the staff report, we will hear testimony from the applicants who are attending this meeting via Zoom. The applicants will have an opportunity to present testimony in favor of the land use application, address issues raised in the staff report, and respond to any testimony received opposing the land use application. To expedite the hearing, the commission members may ask questions of persons as they testify. When this process has been concluded, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. During the hearing, some important standards apply. First, those who testify must hold their testimony to the decision criteria. Second, failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the commission members and the parties an opportunity to respond to that issue precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Third, the failure of an applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with details specific enough to allow the city to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Fourth, prior to the conclusion of the public hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. If such a request is made, the commission must grant the request by either continuing the hearing to a time and date at least 7 days from the date of the initial hearing, or the record must be kept open for a period of at least 7 days. Do the commissioners, staff, or applicants have any questions? Not hearing any. Have any members of the commission had any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, or bias which would not allow them to render an impartial decision on this matter? There's Jeff. Hey, Jeff. We are going over the Daniel Sanchez. We just opened the hearing for the Daniel Sanchez application for partition one lot into two. I just went through all of the rules of order. I'm asking if the commissioners have any ex parte contact at this time.
None for me.
None for you? Okay. And Mark?
No.
Okay.
Did we, I'm sorry to interject, did we also address conflicts of interest or bias? We did. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
that was included in that question, I believe. Yeah, if it had any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, or bias which would not allow them to render an impartial decision on this matter. And I'm not hearing anything, so move forward. Does anyone participating in tonight's hearing wish to challenge the qualifications of any members of the commission? I'm not hearing anyone jump up. Okay. The public hearing is now open. May we have the staff report?
Chair and Commission, before we have the staff presentation tonight by Ms. Marcus, just a couple of housekeeping items if I could. One, on your agenda tonight, the minutes from your last meeting were incorrectly labeled March 6th. On the agenda itself, that is March 5th, but on the minutes, they are correctly labeled March 5th. So I just want to correct that. And then for this item, for this hearing, we received 2 written comments after the comment period ended. And if I could read those into the record. This is for the Sanchez minor partition. The first one is from a Ms. Debbie Bell. And she is writing in opposition of the minor partition, stating that Mr. Sanchez is seeking to avoid the need to create a subdivision and all the infrastructure and utilities associated with that by requesting a second minor partition. And then the second email that we received, this was on Tuesday, May 5th, was received from a Aaron Hagman at 1550 Alberta. This gentleman, this individual is has no objection to the partition, but has concerns with traffic on 16th and Alberta streets. And again, that was received on May 5th. The first one from Ms. Bell was received on May 6th. So those were 2 written comments that were received after the comment period. And for the commissioners and for members of the public that wish, applicants who wish to speak, would you please identify yourself first before your comments, because that'll help with the minute taking and the all the other items we're working on here. So that was it for my comments. And Ms. Marcus will be giving the staff presentation this evening. Riley, if you would, please.
Good evening, commissioners. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So the request before you is a minor partition to divide a approximately 11,099 square foot lot into 2 lots of 6,059 square feet and 5,040 square feet. The minor partition complies with all of the minimum lot sizes, minimum width and depth requirements for the RL zone. However, the reason that this request is going before you today is because the applicant recently did a minor partition for this subject property in September 2019. And there was a condition of approval that required further partitioning of this lot to go before Planning Commission. So as you may or may not be aware, the creation of 4 or more lots is what we consider to be a subdivision application. Right now, the municipal code requires subdivisions to install full improvements, curbs and sidewalks. And this applicant is essentially doing what's called continuous partitioning. And so the applicant has created 4 lots through the series of 2 minor partition applications. The previous minor partition application completed in September 2019, it did create 3 lots and then required a right-of-way dedication for the future expansion of West 15th Street. The subject lot would be accessing off of West 16th Street. And so essentially the applicant is proposing to create an additional lot without having to improve West 15th and West 16th for curbs and sidewalks. And I can refer to Dale, our city engineer on this one, but I believe the improvements required for West 15th Street would be half street improvements. Sorry, that I'm getting people are shaking their heads. Should I continue?
So 15th Street, Riley, was full street improvements, half street on 16th Street.
I'm sorry, did I not say that?
No.
Sorry, thank you for correcting me. I appreciate it. Like I said, Steve stated the comments that were submitted from surrounding landowners, Debbie Bell and Aaron Hageman. What staff is recommending is the denial of this request. In the municipal code, like I stated, the creation of 4 or more lots is a subdivision and it does require full improvements. Section 10.9.010.020 further defines the subdivision process as the creation of 4 or more lots in a calendar year. This approval of the 3 lots created in the last minor partition was finalized in 2019. And obviously this partition request was this year in 2020. Therefore, the applicant is creating 4 or more lots in simultaneous applications in 2 separate calendar years. And as a result, the 4 lots are being created through the process of what we are calling serial partitioning or continuous partitioning. Staff has determined the 2 subsequent minor partitions for the subject property are an attempt to avoid the subdivision application requirements for installation of public improvements, and the correct request is not supported by staff, as it is contrary to the intent of the municipal code. Therefore, staff is recommending denial. And then I'm going
this is Mark Popoff here again. What sort of improvements are already in the neighborhood? Are there sidewalks and curbs in there already?
There are not improvements along West 15th Street or West 16th Street at this time.
So if he put in a sidewalk, it would just sort of be sitting there by itself.
That is correct.
Sorry. However, we do with subdivisions, Mark, we do have the provision or the possibility of requiring improvements that come up to that subject parcel. So let's say it's not improved to a standard to get to that parcel, then there may be an opportunity that or a requirement that we have some sort of improvement be done through the subdivision process. And Dale, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, also on Alberta Street, there is Whispering Pines subdivision to the west or north of Alberta Street. And there's sections of 15th and 14th Street. And that subdivision has been required to put in sidewalks. So there are sidewalks over off of Alberta Street that are serving that entire Whispering Pines subdivision.
Was there any real possibility that further development in that neighborhood would bring, sidewalks together into one continuous unit, or is this neighborhood already been pretty much developed as is?
There are neighboring lots that have the ability to be further divided that could require improvements through that process as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this,
I got one other question. One of the conditions they had was removing the accessory structure on parcel 2. What purpose would this serve? Presumably the parcel 2 will be built on, and perhaps they might want a shed on it.
So right now, in the municipal code, we do not allow for accessory development unless there is a single family dwelling or any type of dwelling on the same lot. So it has to be accessory to a dwelling. So in this case, if we create a second lot, we'd be creating an existing non-conforming structure. So in order to bring it into compliance, that accessory structure could be would be required to be removed. In the past, we have also done some kind of agreement that will state within the year you will be building a single family dwelling, and therefore you can keep your accessory structure up if you bring it into compliance within a year. So that, I guess, could also be an alternative as well.
Okay. Is the person subdividing land, is he planning on building houses on it too, or is he just going to sell it later?
I'm not necessarily sure that what his intent is at this time, but based off of the density in that zone, the only thing he really could construct on this lot, if it were to be partitioned, would be a single family dwelling only.
Or a duplex, I suppose, according to the recent changes in the state law.
Does anyone else have any further questions, or I will otherwise go ahead and read the Planning Commission alternatives.
Do any of the other commissioners have any questions for staff? I'm seeing head shakes, no, so.
Okay.
We'll move forward, yep.
So the first Planning Commission alternative is move to deny minor partition MIP 37120 to partition one lot into two, and to direct staff to prepare the resolution for a signature at a future meeting. Number 2, approve minor partition MIP 371-20 to partition one lot into two, and direct staff to prepare the resolution with the conditions of approval. Or number 3, other action is deemed appropriate by the Planning Commission. Thank you.
So I do want to point out one thing, that we did actually include a resolution for denial in your packet. So that was, so the resolution has been completed for staff's recommendation.
Could we change condition number 4 to requiring them to either build a residence on that parcel within 1 year, or remove the shed in 1 year?
I believe, yeah, that we could add that as a condition. Dawn, do you see any objections to that? I mean, they have to obviously make a motion and.
Correct. So that if that is the direction that the Planning Commission would like to go and actually approve the application, that could be modified, absolutely. If the direction is to deny it, then there would be no need to make any changes to those
Right.
conditions.
So if the application is denied, these conditions won't apply at all. The whole application is
Correct.
void. Yep.
Correct.
Is that, did you have any more questions, Mark? Is that kind of the direction you're heading? I mean, we're not into the discussion portion between the commissioners yet. I believe so.
No, I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Okay. So let's get back. Okay. Are the applicants present and would like to testify in favor of the application?
He is not present, no.
That's unfortunate. Okay. And we already read the testimony, correct? The other testimony that was received?
Yep.
Okay. Is there any planning commissioner in attendance tonight that has not reviewed the testimony received for this land use application? You either shake your head or say no, either one.
No.
Okay. So everyone has read it. Does anyone else participating in tonight's hearing have any questions or comments? And I'm not seeing anyone jump up. If you do, remember to unmute yourself. Okay. Do the commissioners feel they have enough information to make a decision? Yeah, I do. Does everyone else?
Yes. Yes.
I saw Bruce say yes.
Yes.
No, I heard
I
him.
forgot to unmute my,
Yes, I have enough information to make a decision.
Okay.
So do I.
The public hearing on this matter is now closed. It is time for the commissioners' deliberations on this matter. Okay. Do the commissioners have anything else they'd like to add or chat about?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. I have one, and I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in finding 14, so it's section 10.9.030.040, subsection C, the finding for that. It seems to talk about the period of approval for which a plat is good for. In which a final plat needs to be filed. The second portion of that finding talks about how it's not consistent with the purposes of chapter 9.030. Does that necessarily belong there, or I feel like that paragraph doesn't really apply to that criteria?
What exactly does that section cover?
So subsection C talks about period of approval. Approval of a partition application shall be valid for a period of 1 year from the effective approval date. Upon written request filed with the director prior to the expiration date, approvals may be extended annually. It primarily talks about the amount of time that a preliminary approval is good for, and then it says it's voided after 1 year. And then the second portion of that went into, of the finding, staff went into saying that it is determined that this proposal is not consistent with the purposes of chapter 9.030. I mean, I feel like that statement applies to the request, but maybe it would have been meant to be in a different section of the report.
So I'll jump in here. So if you actually go up to page 43, review criteria, number 2, it actually talks about this proposal is consistent with the purposes of this chapter. And it also jumps in there, talks about other applicable requirements. And number 3, it states approval does not impede future development of property under the same ownership or on adjacent lands. So I believe that's where Riley was going with that.
So I didn't realize that it started on the page beforehand. My apologies. Okay.
That's right. No, you're good.
That's cleared up. That's the only question that I had. Did any of the other commissioners have any questions or concerns? You can shake your head no or say yes. So I'm seeing no from those 3.
No.
Mark doesn't have anything. Okay. So I believe we move into making a decision on it, correct, Diana?
Yes.
Okay. So would anyone like to entertain a motion?
I motion to move to deny minor partition MIP 371-20 to partition 1 lot into 2 and direct staff to prepare the resolution for signature at a future meeting.
Okay.
I'll make a So,
Uh-oh.
what's that?
We didn't hear you there. You lagged for a second.
I second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And Mark, did you?
I was going to say no.
You're going to abstain?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's for myself, Bruce, Cody, Jeff in favor of denying, and then Mark abstaining. And yes, Paula?
He's abstaining and not opposed.
You're opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said opposed, not abstaining.
Thank you.
Okay. So, all right, that one's wrapped up. Now that we have Jeff here, Diana, do I need to read the whole spiel again for the Irish?
No, we held it open, so we can go back into that hearing, reconvene that hearing.
Okay, yeah, and I see them there waiting patiently, so I thought I would get into it.
They've been very patient, thank you.
Well, theoretically, don't you have to ask Jeff whether he's got any conflict of interest?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to restate that question.
Okay, let me get back there. Okay. So after the governor's orders, I'm just going to start at the remaining portion. So the remaining hearing procedures are procedures that generally apply in all public hearings. Participants in tonight's public hearing must be recognized by the chair in order to speak. When recognized by the chair, please state your name and mailing address for the record. The public hearing is being tape recorded as well as live streamed. Generally, the public hearing procedure is as follows. Prior to the public hearing, a determination will be made of the qualifications of the commission members. I will open the public hearing with staff report. The purpose of the staff report at this point is to further identify the applicable criteria of the case being considered and to provide background information about the case. After the staff report, we will hear testimony from the applicants who are attending this meeting via Zoom. The applicants will have an opportunity to present testimony in favor of the land use application, address issues raised in the staff report, and respond to any testimony received opposing the land use application. To expedite the hearing, the commission members may ask questions of persons as they testify. When this process has been concluded, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. During the hearing, some important standards apply. First, those who testify must hold their testimony to the decision criteria. Second, failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the commission members and the parties an opportunity to respond to that issue precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Third, the failure of an applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval was detail specific enough to allow the city to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Fourth, prior to the conclusion of the public hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. If such a request is made, the commission must grant the request by either continuing the hearing to a time and date at least 7 days from the date of the initial hearing, or the record must be kept open for a period of at least 7 days. Do the commissioners, staff, or applicants have any questions? I'm seeing.
No, I don't have any questions.
All right. No one's jumping up. So have any members of the commission had any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, or bias which would not allow them to render an impartial decision on this matter? And Cody, already recused himself. I'll leave it open. And Bruce and Mark said they're okay. Jeff, do you have any that you'd like to declare?
Nothing.
Okay. Okay, does anyone participating in tonight's hearing wish to challenge the qualifications of any members of the commission? Not hearing anyone jump up. Going, gone. Okay. The public hearing is now open. May we have the staff report?
Good evening, commissioners. Before you is a request for the Irishes, and it's a request for a 50% reduction to the rear yard setback. You may recall this request coming before you March 5th. And at that time, the request was for a 50% reduction to the rear yard setback and the side yard setback. The applicants have revised their site plan and are just requesting that 50% reduction to only the rear yard setback. I do want to clarify that the notice that was sent out for this planning commission meeting did still say the side yard setback was being reduced, and that is not the case. It is just for the rear yard setback reduction. So I just wanted to clarify that. Additionally, in your packet, you will see comments included from the March 5th Planning Commission meeting. We did receive 2 additional comments for this Planning Commission meeting tonight. They were from the same surrounding property owners. One was the landowner to the north, Kathleen, I'm gonna maybe say this incorrectly, but Brashears. And she is located, as I said, to the north of the subject property on the other side of a 20-foot alley right-of-way. And she had concerns in regards to her privacy. And she was stating her concerns that the subject property was higher in elevation and any type of development would be looking down on her property, and she would have to put up a taller fence. So those were her concerns. Additionally, we had comments submitted from Jensen Brian, excuse me, he is the landowner to the east of the subject property. He was in support of the application. He did have some comments in regards to an existing tree in between the subject property and the property to the east, and he was hoping to require this tree to be removed as kind of a condition of approval if this were to be approved. So those were his comments. I'm not sure if you recall, but the March 5th Planning Commission meeting, the commissioners did request that a survey be obtained. The applicants were able to submit a copy to me of a survey from the 1980s. This, unfortunately, I missed in your packet. It did show the property boundary dimensions. However, it did not show the location of the new single-family dwelling in relation to those property boundary lines. That being said, the site plan that you do have in your packet, as well as elevation drawings, are correct, and those give you a good idea as to the setback and the location of the proposed development. Those site plan and elevation drawings are on page 33 through, I believe, page 37 in your packet. Staff at this time is going to recommend approval of this application. And the reason being is because there's a large outcropping of rock on subject property that limits development location. In addition, this would result in the least amount of excavation from occurring. In addition, I'm not sure if you were able to look at the new elevation drawings, but the applicants did provide additional design standards, including window location and door location. I know some of the planning commissioners from that March 5th meeting were hoping to see that. And so those are on that new elevation drawing. So does anyone have any further questions from me before I go and read the planning commission alternatives?
This is Mark again. Why was the neighbor requesting that the tree be removed?
From my understanding, it sounds like that neighbor to the east has been requesting that tree be removed for a while now, and he was just hoping for that to now be something removed as part of this application. So that was my understanding of it.
Well, did he give a reason is the tree dying or posing some other sort of hazard?
I believe he said it was a hazard and he was concerned that it would either fall on himself or some type of development on his subject property.
Mr. Chair, if I could answer the question. That was one of the written comments that was received post deadline for this one. And they stated that there are 3 trees near the east property line. One is unhealthy, has grown to a height and angle that the top of the tree is over the center of the roof of my house. The base of the tree, the trunk is barely submerged in soil. Base is extremely heavy, mature tree. Trunk grows at an angle that assures that when the tree falls, it will cause property damage to my house as well as potential personal injury. I've discussed this situation multiple times with the Irishes over a span of years, and they've agreed to remove the tree. Unfortunately, the tree remains, et cetera, et cetera. And that was from Jensen Bryan at 219 West 15th Street. So that would be along the easterly property line.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
So they had agreed to remove the tree in the past?
I think, hey, Mark, let's wait until we deliberate, and then we can maybe chat about that after the Irishes have had a chance to provide testimony, because they may end up addressing that. And then we can ask questions after that. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay. Was there anything else from staff?
That was it. I was just going to go through and read the Planning Commission alternatives if you'd like.
Okay. Does any commissioners have any more questions of staff before they get into that? You either shake your head or is Cody frozen?
No, I'm recused, so I'm just offering.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, you can go into it, Riley.
All right, great. Thank you. So the Planning Commission alternatives consist of number 1, approval of the 50% reduction to the rear yard setback with conditions of approval. Number 2, other actions as deemed appropriate by the Planning Commission. Or number 3, deny approval of adjustment number 050-19.
Okay. So would the applicants like to testify in favor of the application? I believe we have them here. If you unmute yourself. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I think that we have pretty much provided our testimony form.
Excuse me, Chair Bugby. She needs to identify her name and address for the record.
Sorry, Paula. Christy Irish, Post Office Box 1358, The Dalles, Oregon. And I don't have much in the way of comment. We provided everything in written form, including the survey. The neighbor to the east, Michael and Mike Irish, successfully found all 4 corner markers, and we're all satisfied that we know where the corner markers are. Really, aside from what we put in our narrative, the site plan, the elevations, and the survey, that's about it from us. We're just waiting for you guys to make a decision so we can move forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. So we've already gone over the testimony received for the application, correct? Is there any planning commissioner in attendance tonight that has not reviewed the testimony reviewed for this land use application? Seeing head shakes, no. Mark?
No.
Okay. Does anyone else participating in tonight's hearing have any questions or comments? Going once, twice. Okay. Do the commissioners feel they have enough information to make a decision? Seeing head shakes yes.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, Mark says yes. Okay. The public hearing on this matter is now closed. It is time for the commissioners' deliberations on this matter. So we'll open it up to discussion. One thing that I wanted to point out, and I would hate to throw a hitch in everything, but within the setback standards, section 10.5.020.060, the development standards, it says for garage/carport entrances facing the street, that those have a 20-foot minimum from lot lines. Does that apply in this instance since the garage is part of the dwelling, or does that not apply?
So I believe the elevation drawings, oh, can I cut in?
Yes.
I believe the elevation drawings show that the garage is actually facing the southern property boundary line, and this is located well over 20 feet from that southern property boundary line. So,
oh, okay.
So yeah, so you might have just been looking at the elevation drawings from the different side, but yeah, that is facing the south side. So that's well over 20 feet.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't apply to the side yard setbacks.
No, it's
okay. Just making sure.
Cool. Thank you, Brent.
I would hate for something to come up over a small little technicality like that. I think, and then my other one, I mean, it's kind of unavoidable when you live in a town where everything is built on the side of a hill. You're pretty much going to end up looking down into someone's yard. For section 2.6.010.050, the screening for hedges, fences, walls, other retaining walls, berms. The first criterion gets into screening is used where unsightly views or visual conflicts must be obscured or blocked, and where privacy and security are desired. Is that something that staff or the commission can condition, or is that solely left up to the applicants?
Sorry, I'm just reading this section, so just give me a second here, Brent.
That's okay.
So I just want to point out that this landscaping and screening section, it is stating 6 feet in height requirements for landscaping or fencing. That property owner to the north does have the ability to erect a fence up to 6 feet in height on their side yard property boundary line for privacy purposes. So that is something that they have the ability to do. I believe that they already have a fence up, but
I think I mean for the applicants, for the Irishes, is that something that staff or the commission could condition for their development, or are these standards kind of left up to them to apply on their own?
So this is saying for unsightly views, and I would say that this proposed single family dwelling is not necessarily an unsightly view. But that being said, the Irishes did show on their site plan that there are 3 very large oak trees located on the northern side of their existing single family dwelling that would provide for sufficient screening.
Okay. And like I said, it's kind of unavoidable when you live in a town that's on the side of a hill. You're always going to end up looking into someone's property. I have someone looking into my property all the time. So,
the neighbor to the north,
There is a
The
20-foot.
neighbor to the north, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say really quickly, the neighbor located to the north, there is a 20-foot right-of-way easement located between their property boundary lines as well. So that creates a little bit of a buffer as well. So sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, I was just going to say the neighbor could also plant some trees of their own if they want to, shield a window or something, so that they aren't looking in.
I saw
a variety of trees that are fast growing that would work.
Okay, and I saw Jeff raise his hand. Sorry, Don. I'll get to you next.
Yeah, on what the Irish provided as far as the letter that came in on March 10th, they said that they intend to leave the oak trees there, but it doesn't require them to. We could put that in there as a requirement that they leave the oak trees there.
Correct. And
That'd be a good
I'll
idea.
I'll go ahead and answer your question a little bit more, Brent. Because it is a quasi-judicial hearing and you as the planning commission are making the decision for this, that landscaping and additional criteria can be added to provide for adequate provisions of light, air, and privacy to an adjoining property. So you as the planning commission could apply and or require some sort of screening buffer in order to provide that privacy and or light, air, or privacy for the adjoining properties. So you guys could actually add that as a condition.
Okay. That answers my questions.
Thanks.
Do any of the other commissioners have any questions? We'll start with Bruce.
No.
No questions from Bruce. Questions from Jeff?
No.
Okay. Mark?
No.
Okay. How do you folks feel with adding the condition for retention of those oak trees on the north portion of the property to alleviate those concerns?
Yeah, I would like to add that as a condition.
Okay. So, and we'll read it. Does staff want us to recite it into the record, or how would you like us to?
You probably need to vote on it
Okay.
as a motion.
Would anyone like to entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion that the condition of approval require that the oak trees on the north boundary be retained.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? I don't see a second, so I'll second that. And it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, Bruce is opposed. Jeff and Mark and myself are in favor. So it moves forward. Okay. So would anyone like to entertain a motion for a decision on the application?
I'll move that we approve the motion to for the project, including the additional addition of the oak trees.
Second.
Okay, so just to clarify, it's approval of the application with the condition for retention of the oak trees. That's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, everyone voted in favor and it passes unanimously. All right. Okay, so we have one more. It's a busy night. Okay. And I'm going to clarify again, Diana, I have to go through the whole spiel again, correct?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So the last one tonight.
I'm practicing my public speaking, so it's perfect.
Good practice.
Okay. Now is the time specified for the Planning Commission to conduct the public hearing to consider the following matter. It is for Americo Real Estate Company. Go to the agenda. It's a conditional use permit, 195-20, 2640 West 6th Street. The request is to use existing retail building to accommodate indoor climate controlled personal storage and retail sales of moving supplies. Additional uses will include truck and trailer rentals. So due to the ongoing COVID-19 health crisis, the city's public hearing procedures for tonight's quasi-judicial hearing have been amended. On March 8th, 2020, the governor declared a state of emergency for the entire state of Oregon due to the COVID-19 pandemic. On March 20th, 2020, the city of The Dalles issued its own declaration of emergency due to COVID-19. On April 15th, 2020, the governor issued executive order number 20-16 titled Keep Government Working, ordering necessary measures to ensure safe public meetings and continued operations by local governments during coronavirus outbreak. Pursuant to Section 2A of the governor's order, public bodies must hold public hearings through an electronic means whenever possible. Also pursuant to Section 2A of the governor's order, the public body must make available a method by which the public can listen to or virtually attend the public hearing at the time it occurs. Regarding public testimony, Section 2C of the governor's order states any requirements that testimony during a public hearing be taken in person do not apply if the public body provides an opportunity for submission of testimony by electronic or virtual means, or provides a means of submitting written testimony, including by email or other electronic methods that the public body may consider in a timely manner. The governor's order is to remain in effect so long as Oregon's state of emergency is in effect. On May 1st, 2020, the governor extended Oregon's state of emergency through July 6, 2020. As of the date of this public hearing, Oregon's state of emergency remains in effect. Consistent with the governor's Keep Government Working order, the city has implemented the following procedures for tonight's public hearing. This meeting is available for public viewing through a live stream that is posted to the city's website. The land use application and all related documents, as well as the applicable criteria, were posted to the city's website for public viewing. Consistent with the governor's order, written testimony and comments regarding this application were required to be emailed to the planning department no later than May 1st, 2020 at 3 p.m. Testimony received, if any, was timely posted to the city's website for public viewing. As required by the governor's order, all testimony received was transmitted to the planning commissioners so that the testimony could be considered by the planning commissioners in a timely manner. The remaining hearing procedures are procedures that generally apply to all public hearings. Participants in tonight's public hearing must be recognized by the chair in order to speak. When recognized by the chair, please state your name and mailing address for the record. This public hearing is being tape recorded as well as live streamed. Generally, the public hearing procedure is as follows. Prior to the public hearing, a determination will be made of the qualifications of the commission members. I will open the public hearing with a staff report. The purpose of the staff report at this point is to further identify the applicable criteria of the case being considered and to provide additional background information about the use. After the staff report, we will hear testimony from the applicants who are attending this meeting via Zoom. The applicants will have an opportunity to present testimony in favor of the land use application, address issues raised in the staff report, and respond to any testimony received opposing the land use application. To expedite the hearing, the commission members may ask questions of persons as they testify. When this process has been concluded, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. During the hearing, some important standards apply. First, those who testify must hold their testimony to the decision criteria. Second, failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the commission members and the parties an opportunity to respond to that issue precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Third, the failure of an applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with detail specific enough to allow the city to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Fourth, prior to the conclusion of the public hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. If such a request is made, the commission must grant the request by either continuing the hearing to a time and date at least 7 days from the date of the initial hearing, or the record must be kept open for a period of at least 7 days. Do the commissioners, staff, or applicants have any questions? I'm seeing no.
I don't have any questions.
Mark says no. Have any members of the commission had any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, or bias which would not allow them to render an impartial decision on this matter?
No.
Hearing
No.
Seeing no, hearing no. Okay. Does anyone participating in tonight's hearing wish to challenge the qualifications of any members of the commission? I'm not hearing anything. Going once, twice. Okay. The public hearing is now open. May we have the staff report?
Thank you, Chair Bybee. As you stated, this application is for Americo, and it's a application that some of you have already seen. As some may remember, back in January 3rd, 2018, a conditional use permit 190-18 was approved by the Planning Commission to have U-Haul move into the Kmart store. Unfortunately, that approval expired on January 4th, and they came into the office in March. So it's coming back before you. Nothing has changed from their original plan, and their site plan includes reuse of the interior of the Kmart store, which was recently closed, to have a mini storage, as well as including a south portion of the property that could be a possibility for future lease for a retail type pad. That would actually require a site plan review. As of the date of the staff report being mailed, there were no comments that were received. However, I have had some conversations with the fire marshal, Jay Wood, and Jay has made a visit to the local store and spoke with Dennis Botts, who is the store manager for U-Haul, and explained their process, what they were looking to do, and just wanted to assure that all fire life and safety and permitting would be run through building codes, and that Jay Wood would have comments and be able to ensure that the fire life safety was addressed. So Jay felt comfortable. I just wanted to go ahead and point that out. Staff is actually recommending approval again. No conditions have been changed. I have 7 conditions of approval at the end, and basically staff's conclusion is that the findings found in the staff report demonstrate compliance with the Dalles Municipal Code, and recommended conditions 1 through 7 be added to the approval. Do you have any questions? Oh, and also it does look like, just so you know, Chair Bybee, Kyle Champion, who is a representative of U-Haul, is actually, it looks like he's on, so make sure to call. So do you have any questions of staff?
Do any of the commissioners have any questions? Seems like a repeat. I'm guessing it's all the same conditions and everything as the previously approved application.
Exactly.
This is Mark again. I would, I don't know if this is the time, but I would like to add one more condition. That is that the parking lot be brought up to current landscaping standards.
Okay. We can address that during our deliberations.
Okay.
We can chat about that. Okay. Any questions?
The applicant may be interested in commenting about the upgrade of the parking lot, I would think.
Okay. All right. Would the applicants like to testify in favor of the application? And remember to unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. So Kyle Campion, mailing address 11811 Southeast 82nd Avenue in Happy Valley, Oregon. I'm actually glad you brought the landscaping up. We've been working with local contractors to develop a plan in the meantime to upgrade the landscaping on our property.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you'd like to say?
Really, I'm new to this position. This will be the project that we're working on, and really, what happened is we had the conditional use approved, as Dawn said last year, though I wasn't aware that it expired. So unfortunately, that's what brought us back to this. So again, appreciate the consideration, and we are already in talks of getting the landscaping approved with local vendors.
If I may, my name is Doug Green. My address is 4011 Southeast Risley Avenue, Milwaukee, Oregon, 97267.
Here, hold on 1 second, sir.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Doug Green?
Doug Green, yes, like the color.
Will you repeat your address for me, please?
Yes, 4011 Southeast Risley Avenue, it's R-I-S-L-E-Y Avenue, Milwaukee.
And before we go into your testimony, I just want to double check and make sure, does any of the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Campion before we move on? Okay. I did have one question for Mr. Campion. Do you plan on storing the trucks and trailers that are going to be rented out on the front of the building, or is there going to be a designated area in that parking lot devoted to that?
They'll be shunted accordingly, though nothing will be parked for a certain amount of time.
Okay. 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 And sorry. Okay, we can move on now with no further questions. You can go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Okay. I'm the owner's representative for Americo. And I just wanted to comment on the landscaping question. One of the first things that U-Haul does when we move into a location is we upgrade the landscaping. One of the things we like to do, we like to go above and beyond what the city requires because we'd like it to be a great appeal. We like to really nice. And a lot of times in our locations, what we'll find is we go above and beyond, and our neighbors kind of get a little jealous sometimes, and they kind of spoof up their area as well too. So I just wanted to put that comment in that I am taking bids right now from local contractors. I'm working with them right now. I've got a design company who work with a few companies that are inside the Dalles. And I'm taking bids, and once we get through this process, then we can begin starting to take care of the landscaping. It'll be beautiful, trust me.
All right, thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions?
No.
I'm seeing no. Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, this is Steve Harris, the Community Development Director. I'm going to echo the comments that I made when this item was before the Planning Commission the first time. You're taking a general commercial zone property over 7.5 acres in size with freeway frontage, freeway visibility. And although this storage facility is a conditionally allowed use in the general commercial zone, stated in the staff report, you'll be having 6 to 10 employees and at this facility of over 7 acres in size. We are currently conducting an employment buildable lands inventory and doing other economic development work with the city. Although this use is probably in demand in this area, again, this is a prime retail location for freeway-oriented traffic, and you'll be employing up to 10 people. on over 7 acres of commercial land. So we had a rezoning and a general plan amendment before the commission a couple of years ago. I think it was on Hofstetter and West 13th, 16th Street. It was a mobile home park that had, I think, commercial zoning on it. And the new owner of the property submitted a rezoning and a comp plan amendment to change that to medium density residential. And there were comments and concerns by commission members. I think Mark was one of them at the time, or perhaps John Nelson, that expressed some concern over the lack, or not the lack of housing, but the change of the zoning and commercial to residential use. And that was an existing residential use that was zoned commercial. In this case, this property is zoned commercial, but you are allowing or permitting this conditional use with a very, very low employment density. Again, it is allowed in the zone. It's also allowed in industrial zones. Perhaps would be more appropriate and perhaps not needing such a high visibility site. Just wanted to let the commission know my concerns, my professional concerns, and let you know that we also are involved with this economic opportunities analysis and these buildable lands inventory. So in effect, you're taking 7.5 acres of prime commercial land, and you'll be seeing 10 employees at some time in the future. So those are my comments on this item.
All right, thank you.
Is there any other opportunity out there that would utilize that property? Did I lose you, Steve?
I think you're lagging for a second, Bruce. Sorry. Could you state the question again?
Do we know of any other opportunities that are out there that would utilize this property?
I'm unaware of what any current marketing is being doing on the site or has been done. But again, you've got a very large commercial piece with prime freeway frontage, and it'll be converted to a personal indoor storage facility.
This is Mark again. I'd like to comment on that. If this application's turned down, that building could sit empty for a very long time. At the other end of that complex where Coastal Supply is, that store was empty for, I think almost 2 decades before Coastal Supply moved into there. I know that 10 jobs for a 7-acre area doesn't sound like much, but it's 10 more than we would have if this is turned down, and probably we wouldn't get anything in there for quite some time, especially with the economy going in the direction it is. So, if we've got somebody that wants to put this to some kind of use that isn't going to interfere with the adjacent properties, I think we should go for it.
Okay. Let's the applicant was able to provide testimony. I'm going to move on so that we can get into deliberating, because we're starting to get into that territory. Does anyone else participating in tonight's hearing have any questions or comments?
So Brent, I do just have one. If you, when you guys get into deliberations, decide to add a condition of approval, you could add, I've got a suggested language here, but I do also want to direct you all to page 62 of your kit. That actually shows U-Haul's landscaping plan. They've got a pretty extensive landscape plan included in their packet. They're showing some trees and some planter strips at the end. So, but if you would like me to, I can give you a suggested language for condition number 8 if you want. And
okay.
So just to follow Mark's suggestion, condition of approval number 8 could read: parking lot landscaping will be required to be brought up to current city standards as detailed in section 10.7.030.040.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay.
I would move that we add condition 8 as Don stated it.
Excuse me, I think
Go
you
ahead.
have to close the public
Yeah.
hearing first.
Yeah. I think so. So yeah, we'll let's move through. I just have a couple more questions and then we'll get into that. Do the commissioners feel they have enough information to make a decision?
Yes.
I'm saying yes, yes, hearing yes. Everyone says yes. Okay, the public hearing on this matter is now closed. It is time for the commissioners' deliberations on this matter. Okay, so let's discuss the motion that was just brought up. Bruce, did you have anything to add?
You want me to restate it? Or?
Sure.
I move that we add condition 8 using the words that Don came up for the statement for that.
I'll second that.
And does Dawn need to read that for the record, Diana?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry. Condition number 8 will read, parking lot landscaping will be required to be brought up to current city standards as detailed in section 10.7.030.040.
Okay. So that motion has been moved and seconded. Let's vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Okay, so passes unanimously. Okay, are there any other discussions the commissioners would like to have or questions for staff or anything else that they'd like to state for the record? Anything from you, Bruce?
No.
Okay. Cody?
I do just have a quick comment on what Steve said. I do agree with Steve's sentiment about usage and just, yeah, it's same zoning, it's same usage, similar usage within that zoning, but in an effort to employ more people in town, I agree with that sentiment. It would be helpful in situations like this if we were able to have like a more, perhaps something prepared or just available to us that shows if there are any interested industries or employers looking to the Dalles to be able to use property like this. Just to have that information available to us, I think would just be A, helpful, but B, just good to know who's looking at this place to bring in industry and work.
I have a statement. So I agree with Steve that more employment would be good. It wasn't our property, it wasn't the city's property, it was Kmart's property to sell to U-Haul. And so however many they want to do, it's within their jurisdiction, and it's an approved usage of that property within our requirements. So I would think we'd get in trouble if we tried to say we don't want to approve this because we don't think they're employing enough people.
I think I might also add that in their plot plan there, they have a potential retail pad in part of the parking lot, which obviously would be underutilized at this point. So there's potential there for some additional commercial. Also, I think one of these drive-through places, I'm not sure if it's the one shown here or the one down the street, is still empty. It's the one that had Arby's in it originally. So, there's, property available for, additional employment or businesses that could provide additional employment.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. Yeah, and I'd just like to state that it's always good to see a property utilized to its best potential. But I mean, this is a factor of first come, first serve. And this is a conditional use that they have the right to apply for. So I can understand the fair market. Okay. Are there any other comments or concerns the commissioners have?
You ready for a motion?
I was going to say, would someone like to entertain one?
I move that we approve conditional use permit 195-20 based on the findings of fact and conditions, including the condition 8 that we added.
I second that motion.
I'll second that. Oh.
Cody beat you to it. Diana, do we need to read that condition for the record?
Yes.
Okay. Dawn, if you could read that condition.
Absolutely. Condition number 8 to read, parking lot landscaping will be required to be brought up to current city standards as detailed in section 10.7.030.040.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Okay, it passes unanimously. All right. 3 down. Okay. So for the resolution portions, what do we need to do for those? Let's see, approval, Michael, Christine Irish.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
On your first item, resolution 509-20, that was for the Irish.
Or
you
590.
Yeah, resolution 590-20.
Okay.
You added that a condition regarding retention of the existing oak trees along that north property lines.
Yes.
So that condition would need to be added to the resolution. And also at the beginning of the resolution, there needs to be some additional verbiage that identifies the application, the site address, et cetera, et cetera. That needs to be added to the resolution.
Okay.
So
we'll hold off on that one till the next meeting.
I would suggest that, yes.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion for that, or?
I think, no, that can be a consensus item. We'll address it at the next meeting.
Okay. Then we move into resolution number PC 591-20, Americo Real Estate Company.
And Mr. Chair, that one also needed, you added the condition number 8 regarding the parking lot landscaping and bringing that up to current city standards. So that condition will need to be added to the resolution as well.
Okay. So we'll postpone that until staff has updated that.
Can I ask a question? Sorry.
Yes.
Diana, sometimes in the past, if it was just one condition and it was read, we were allowed to have, or that planning commission had directed staff to make that change and then send the planning chair to sign. Is that something that we could do, or do we definitely need to wait?
In the instance of the condition that was read into the record, that I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, so we can proceed with that resolution. Okay.
Okay. So would anyone like to entertain a motion for that resolution?
Which one are we talking about now?
591-20, Americo Real Estate.
we basically need to approve the resolution number PC 59120 with the addition of the number 8,
Of condition 8
condition 8.
regarding landscaping.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I'll second that.
we've already read that 3 times now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sufficient.
Okay. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
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 And those opposed?
Excuse me.
Okay, go ahead.
Cody, are you in favor or opposed?
In favor. Sorry, I was still reading it. In favor. Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and it passes unanimously. Okay, to PC 592-20. This is the minor partition for Daniel Sanchez.
And Mr. Chair, this one, your motion in denying the application was to return with a resolution of denial at a future meeting.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll handle this at the next meeting. Okay. So we are through all of the agenda items. We're into staff comments now.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. It's glad to have you here virtually. A couple of items. One, we were notified this week that Commissioner Steve Ross has tendered his resignation. And that's why he is not here this evening. So now we have 2 vacancies on the commission. And as you may know, those are mayoral appointees. So if you have someone perhaps that you feel would be an asset to the commission, please just let them know that we do have these vacancies. And I believe they would contact the city clerk for an application. And the other item is for your next meeting on May 21st, which again, we are anticipating will be a online meeting. That will be a public hearing. That will be an appeal of an administrative approval of a subdivision for legacy development. And that we anticipate will generate considerable community or neighborhood interest. So again, at this time, it's scheduled for your next meeting. That will be the only item on that agenda, I guess with the exception of these 2 resolutions that we continued today. But I anticipate.
What was the date again?
May 21st.
Okay, thank you.
2020. So. And again, that'll be, like I said, I anticipate we'll have extensive neighborhood interest in that appeal hearing. So. With that, that concludes the staff comments for this evening.
Okay. Thank you, staff. I think this meeting actually went really well. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? I'm not seeing anyone jump up. So I'm happy with how fast we got through that meeting with there being 3 items. I'm surprised. So I think this went really well. I'm glad we were able to still keep processing things even with everything going on. So and I appreciate everyone's patience through all this. So with that, if there's nothing else, then we'll adjourn the meeting.
All right. Thank you. Stay healthy.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Great job, Brent. Yeah, good job, Brent. Really good job.
Thank you.
Good job, Brent.
Have a good night, folks.
Thank you.